I just continue that very slightly. And could it be that the Muslim world have been misguided into thinking of the ascension of Hazrat Isa والسلام, by the verse that I will raise you to me, taking it literally rather than raising in status?
No, that is also the one verse which I have discussed repeatedly in so many other question and answer sessions. So it came to my mind, but I thought then we will be diverting this debate to a channel from which will be no coming back.
Okay.
It's a long discussion.
Yes.
But that you have mentioned, I speak very briefly on this. The focal point of that verse, which is mentioned in relation to the ascent of Jesus, is Bal Rafahullahu ilayhi. He was neither murdered nor crucified to the point of death. This is how we understand the message of the verse as preceding it. But it ends up in the conclusion, Bal Rafahullahu ilayhi. God raised him to himself. And the main point of strength which the non-Ahmadis believe they possess, is the word bal. They say what you thought is wrong. That did not happen. On the contrary, this is what happened. So they say that what you thought was that he was crucified. And the Holy Quran rejects this idea as absolutely positively wrong, and presents a counter idea, which is he lifted him to the heaven. This makes sense, according to this they say.
Yeah.
But let's turn back to the verse and the context. The Holy Quran is speaking in the beginning of the Jewish claims that Jesus was a false prophet for two reasons. One, that his mother was unchaste, and he is the outcome of illegitimate relationship. Secondly, that we succeeded in killing him on the cross. The stress was on the killing, because it was said that whoever would hang by the tree and died would the fact would prove that he is a false claimant.
He would be accursed.
That's it. I'm coming to the word cursed. The ultimate message we draw from this discussion of the Quran is that on the one hand there were Jews who claimed that we proved that he was accursed by God. His birth was accursed and his death end was. The counter to this is not raising somebody to heaven. It's not the opposite of it. The opposite of it is that God blessed him, raised his status. He was not rejected by God and condemned to hell or any other position of God's wrath. He was rather even more loved by God by the sacrifices offered. So that is the spirit in which we understand the meaning of Bal Rafahullah ilayh. But that is not all. There is more to it. The question is, if he was raised to heaven physically, in a heaven of the dimensions known to us, then what should have Allah said? Allah should have said, but we did not make him die, first of all, but he is alive. The opposite of death is not ascension to heaven. We did not make him die, but he is alive. All through the discussion, the word life does not appear at all. It says what they claim is wrong. And they claimed that he was killed at their hands and he had an illegitimate birth. So the rejection is only of the claims of the Jews. Now, if the rejection was or were of the very concept of his death by any means, then God should have concluded, no, neither at their hand nor at the hands of the Roman Empire. He did not die. We did not permit anybody to kill him, or we did not even cause that death ourselves. This last bit is missing. On the contrary, this phrase is used, Bal Rafahullah ilayh, which I have already mentioned, is the opposite of the curse. It's a blessing to be close to God. Now, again, this verse cannot be interpreted in the literal sense at all. Because God doesn't say we lifted him to heavens, to the sky. God says we lifted him to ourselves.
Yes.
And where was God at that moment? And where was he not?
Yes.
Lifted him to ourselves. Was God not there at the moment when Jesus was being crucified? Closer to his jugular vein.
Yes.
Was there.
That's right. Yes.
So his body doesn't move. Body simply cannot move in the direction of God because everywhere. That is the point which you should,
Yes.
as a rebuttal to those who try to deceive you,
Yes. Thank
you should confront them with. They say, tell me, where is a bodily motion involved? Where is it mentioned? How can it be entertained?
Yes.
There is also the other famous verse in Surah Miriam where Jesus said, peace be upon me, the day that I shall die and the day that I shall be raised up again.
Yes.
And the order of the verse clearly states that Jesus must die first before he's raised
Yes,
up.
that's right.
In a slightly different context.
I know, there's so many other verses. I thank you for reminding me of this. But they say, yes, here the ascension, it is not the ascension which is mentioned, it is the resurrection which is mentioned. And they say the resurrection would take place after Jesus descends to the earth, dies normally, and then after death he is resurrected. So they have a way of wriggling out of this, the clutch of this verse. But the ones which I generally present, there is absolutely no way they can escape. That is, Ma Muhammadun illa Rasul, qad khalat min qablihi rusul. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is no more than a prophet, and all prophets before him have passed away. And then, speaking of Jesus Christ in the same terms, the Holy Quran says, Mal Masihu ibn Maryam illa Rasul, qad khalat min qablihi rusul. Masih, son of Mary, was no more than a prophet, and all prophets before him have passed away. So how can Masih be left hanging in the middle, in nowhere, belonging to nowhere, neither to his past prophets nor to the past prophets from Rasulullah, the vantage point. So he has to go. There's no way he can be left behind in the earth. They say, all right, we mean he went up to the heaven. I said, no, this is not what the verses say. The verses say, all prophets before him have passed away. How did they pass away?
They all died.
Died. All prophets before Prophet Muhammad passed away. And how did they pass away? Here the Holy Quran makes it crystal clear by saying, Afa'im mata or qutilan qalabtum ala aqabikum. So if also the Holy Prophet died, mata, no ascension is mentioned, or even murdered, what right have you got to turn on your heels? Because khala, the word khala, which means passed away, here has been translated by the Holy Quran itself. Just two possibilities, two connotations are mentioned, no third one. And as far as the Jesus' verse is concerned, the verse which speaks of Jesus, all prophets before him having died, the verse goes on. It doesn't end there. It says, وَأُمُّهُ صِدِّيقَةٌ. His mother was chaste. Kana or true or righteous. Either way it can be done. Kana yakulani tam. Both mother and son used to eat no longer eat. So if mother was not alive, she was dead, and Jesus was alive somewhere in the heaven, why did he stop eating? Why was he exempted from those who stand in need of eating? That is how the whole
Yes.
story, the story is completed. The last point of escape they try to open for themselves lies in the direction that because he is in somewhere where he doesn't need to eat. We need to eat here because it is the situation of the earth, its atmosphere, etc., which makes it essential for us to eat for the sustenance of life. But first of all, this is just meaningless, totally, absolutely absurd. Food is needed because in metabolism, one is constantly losing energy. Even if you think, you lose energy. And a major part of loss of energy is related to the brain activity. So we'll accept him to be exempted from those who need food to survive, if you accept that his metabolism has come to a total dead end, to the extent that he has no brain activity left. And this is death. Nothing but death. This is what we point out.
Yes, yes.
So instead of catching your air from the other side, why don't you catch it from the right, in the right direction, from the right side? He has to be dead if he stopped eating. Because human body continues to metabolize. And it is catabolism which causes the loss of energy in so many ways and forms. So you can go into hibernation, of course, but still your heart will be beating, your lungs will be moving slowly, and your mind will still be active. So a loss of energy, if not completed within 2-3 years, let's extend it to 10 years in the case of Jesus. No more. Impossible. But the Holy Quran has its own answers. The Holy Quran in another verse says that we have not created any prophet with a body which can survive without eating. So not only he has to lose life, but he has also, according to their belief, lose his prophethood. Because no prophet is given a body by God which can survive without eating. So when he was taken to somewhere, was he still a prophet or not?
Yes, yes.
He was. According to them, it is, kufr, denial of the fundamentals of faith. If you believe that a prophet once raised to the prophethood loses this office even for a moment, no way can they escape. These two verses stand guard over not the life of Jesus, death of Jesus.
Thank you, Hazur.